Die Brigade Litauen kommt, die Vorbereitungen laufen.
Germany says that it is ready to station around 4,000 additional troops in Lithuania on a permanent basis.
Around 5,000 German soldiers are preparing to relocate to Lithuania in 2027.
Etwa 4.800 Soldaten sowie rund 200 zivile Angestellte ziehen nach Litauen.
It's really big deal for Lithuania.
In an expensive defensive move that hopes to deter Russia from military action against Lithuania, a German brigade has been requested to be stationed in the Baltic country. This is big. In fact, this will be the first permanent deployment of German troops since the Second World War. Yes, German troops currently make up part of NATO's Enhanced Forward Presence Battle Group in Lithuania, but these soldiers rotate in and out every few months. The establishment of this German brigade in Lithuania, around 5,000 personnel, will be permanent. It's a sign of the incredibly interesting times that we live in, and I wanted to take this video to go over the details of the deal and what it means for Lithuania.
The German government's been under a lot of criticism that it's not done enough to throw its military support behind Ukraine as it's facing down this threat from Russia.
So at the end of 2023, Lithuanian and German defense ministers signed an action plan on the deployment of a Bundeswehr brigade. This action plan includes specific deadlines for the relocation of military units and commitments on living conditions for soldiers' families, including the provision of schools and kindergartens for children. Here are some key dates, as reported by LRT. In the spring of 2024, an initial team will arrive in Lithuania, and this will grow into the brigade's stationing element that will be based in Vilnius by the end of 2024. This stationing element consists of around several hundred soldiers, with some of these arriving with their families. This German deployment will continue to grow over 2025 and 2026, and by 2027, the German brigade in Lithuania is expected to reach full operational capability. Part of the plan will include moving the NATO multinational battle group under the command of this German brigade. At the moment, it's under the command of Lithuania's Iron Wolf Brigade. This means that by 2027, all of the brigade's units will be fully staffed and equipped in the country and ready to carry out their tasks. For those outside of the military world, a brigade is a military unit that can be between 3,000 and 5,000 soldiers. Brigades consist of battalions, and so in this case, the German brigade in Lithuania has been reported to have around 5,000 soldiers, making up 5 battalions, and this includes tank and artillery battalions. One video produced by the Bundeswehr, Germany's armed forces, says that it will actually be around 4,800 soldiers and 200 civilian personnel. The video also specifies that there will be 3 combat battalions. One of these will come from North Rhine-Westphalia and another from Bavaria. A Euronews video shows that the units will come from Augustdorf and Oberwichtach, and a quick Google search shows that the 203 Panzer Battalion is stationed in Augustdorf, and the 122 Panzer Grenadier Battalion is based in Oberwichtach. The German troops will be based at military facilities in Rukla and Rudninke. As you can see from the locations, they are a little more or less than an hour's drive away from Vilnius, while Kaunas is even closer to Rukla, but it's further away from Rudninke. Nonetheless, some of the German military personnel and/or their families will live in Vilnius and Kaunas. According to LRT, which reported on the agreement, text includes this little bit. Besides very good conditions for training and exercises, Lithuania will establish or make available both civilian and military infrastructure, taking into account German requirements as agreed to by both sides. On the military infrastructure side, Rudninke and its training area will have some brand new facilities, and it's even highlighted in the Bundeswehr video. It was all constructed incredibly fast, which is something I've noticed to be quite common in Lithuania. Well, either that or some projects just sit half-finished for a really long time. But anyways, I'm sure any construction projects that have to do with accommodating the German brigade and their families will be completed very quickly.
The permanent deployment of the German brigade has been a constant source of friction between the two countries.
Some experts have expressed concerns regarding the cost of the relocation and maintenance, which is estimated to cost around 30 million euros per month.
Lithuania's defense minister at the time discussed the fact that this is not going to be cheap, telling the media, "Of course, financial resources will be needed to build the infrastructure, To some extent, these are planned, but as the scope of the work to be done has grown somewhat from the original plans, we will certainly need to think about additional funding and sustainable sources. While the brigade will be around 5,000 German personnel, this number does not include their families. Yes, because this is a permanent deployment, families of German military personnel will be moving to Lithuania too. This is what the official documents had to say about that. Accommodation for the families will be available in the cities of Vilnius and Kaunas, or in their close proximity. Two main options will be taken forward, using an existing housing rent market and developing living quarters in a dedicated area. LRT says that in the midterm, Germany will establish 1 or 2 Bundeswehr schools abroad and German language childcare facilities in Lithuania. I heard somewhere else that Lithuania will be responsible for building school facilities, while Germany will be the one to focus on getting teachers to teach at these schools. But finally, the document has this to say about transportation infrastructure. Good travel conditions, especially flight connections between Germany and Lithuania, as well as improvement of traffic links, in particular local public passenger transport, between the cities of Vilnius and Rudninkai, as well as Kaunas and Rukla, are desirable. The more I think about this deployment, the more I realize its incredible scale. I don't know if there is a good scientific method to estimate family members, but if I take a guess to say that each German soldier brings with them 1.5 family members, then that's about 7,500 coming along with the 5,000, for a total of 12,500. I'm sure there are quite a few single soldiers, but then also soldiers with a spouse and 1 or 2 children. Some reports have already discussed the broader impact this will have on Lithuania, with the housing market being one of the concerns. This article by LRT highlights that Rudninkai military training ground will be able to accommodate up to 3,000 troops, and so the remaining soldiers and families will live in other Lithuanian cities. Speaking to LRT, the head of investment and analysis at InReal Group highlighted how there was a shortage of housing supply when there was an influx of war refugees from Ukraine, and he said, the supply was reduced to a few hundred apartments and they became extremely expensive, but the numbers were quite different. A few hundred people will certainly not create that kind of pressure. So I'm no housing market analyst, nor do I know the details of where German soldiers and their families will be distributed across Lithuania, and so I guess I can't say anything with any certainty or credibility. But my guess is that Vilnius and Kaunas, and maybe even Jonava, could benefit from constructing a few new apartment projects to ensure that there's enough housing supply. On the transportation side, I've never traveled to Rudninkai or Rukla, but I can imagine more frequent bus services being established to allow for daily commuting of more senior soldiers living off base. Or I guess better roads to allow for more vehicle traffic. The increased flight connections is an interesting one for me as someone who likes air travel. Will we see more flights between Vilnius and Frankfurt, or Vilnius and Munich, or Nuremberg? I see that Wizz Air has a twice-weekly flight between Vilnius and Dortmund right now, and maybe that could be more frequent too. Maybe we'll see flights from Kaunas to German cities. I don't know. The social and economic impact of this is the most interesting part for me. I'm sure this will have a positive impact on Lithuania's economy, with well-paid soldiers and families spending money in the country, but it probably won't be a net benefit compared to the expense of accommodating everyone. But I guess it'll at least help to recover some costs. And then, with all the single soldiers coming, I'm sure we'll have a spike in some German-Lithuanian relationships over the next few years. And then more German-Lithuanian families a few years after that. I think in general, Lithuanians support this massive influx of Germans, and I'm really interested to see if or how this will change Lithuanian society. I can imagine this will be a tough move for some Germans and families, especially those living quite comfortable lives in Germany, with well-established jobs and social circles, and maybe extended family members close by. I'm sure despite the hardship, most soldiers recognize the importance of the mission and their duty, even if it's not directly defending Germany. This one soldier, speaking with Euronews, is certainly on board.
Es gibt Kameraden, die wollen gehen, es gibt Kameraden, die nicht gehen wollen. Für mich persönlich hat sich die Frage gar nicht gestellt. Letztendlich diene ich meinem Land und somit diene ich auch Europa und Europa ist auch Litauen. Ja? Und das ist für mich natürlich wichtig gewesen und so habe ich das natürlich auch zu Hause kommuniziert.
But hopefully they realize the same thing as me, that Lithuania is awesome. Ultimately, it's the deployment that I'm sure everyone hopes will serve as a deterrent instead of being actively used to defend Lithuania. But I guess if you're a German soldier or family member stumbling on this channel, I guess I have to say,
Willkommen in Litauen.
Or I guess in Lithuanian, Sveiki atvykę į Lietuvą. To wrap it all up, the Lithuanian word of the day will be dislokavimas, which means deployment. dislocavimas. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoy this channel and want to support me in making more videos, please consider becoming a Patreon patron. There's a link to this down in the description. Thanks again for watching.